Hello everybody, and this is my first video of 2016 and in a quite a decent while. And so, for that, we are going to be tackling a topic that is, well, hits me close to home as it's a good reason why these videos haven't been made, and that is on the topic of mental illness. In my particular case, it is depression, so this is going to hit home, but it's going to hit home in a more angry sense because of the ignorance being displayed. So let us dive deep into that, shall we? So, folks, we are going to be looking at an article of, a BuzzFeed-esque thing, and it isn't actually BuzzFeed, weirdly enough, of a top 10 list titled 10 Signs Your Mental Illness is Made Up for Attention. Now, in order for you to make up a mental illness, it has to come out of your ass, and really, your main intention is for attention, which, let me just tell you something right now. When somebody is suffering through a mental illness, like, say, depression, you do kind of want attention. You want to, be with somebody, and if you don't get that, you tend to get more sad and upset. So, I mean, there is, to an extent, there is an attention-seeking-esque there. But, I mean, there's a difference between wanting somebody, wanting to spend time with somebody and wanting to do something that, trying to seek that out, other than to just do amazingly stupid shit. Or, like, go out and about and, post videos of you cutting yourself or some bullshit like that to get it attention, because that is, going, farther up the extreme totem pole. Oh, and, some people do that, and sometimes it's not exactly for the attention that is necessarily negative, but yeah, you get my point. But I would still like to go over this particular article, step by step, and we'll see exactly, what's wrong with each of these apparent reasons that you are, making up a mental illness, apparently. Because let me tell you, a lot of these are just cringeworthy as fuck. So the first one reads, your definition of illness change all the time. One day, depression means you can't get out of bed, or you tie your shoes or pay bills. The next, it means you want to stay home and watch movies. The next, it's not that serious. Your definition changes all the time depending on the context and how sick you really want to look. I mean, right from the get-go, this is bullshit. Because these first few things, those are what, being unmotivated is. That is a sign of depression. These aren't really much different definitions. You can't get out of bed, you can't tie your shoes, you can't pay bills, you're unmotivated to do certain things, and wanting to stay home and watch movies, that really falls under the same line. And and then not so serious, it's called when you are being depressed. Let me tell you something. You have days that you feel amazing, and then you have days that you ultimately feel like garbage. Those are called bad days, and anybody with severe depression, in which that is what I was diagnosed with, is, so I can say for fucking sure that this is a thing, that's what happens. You have awful days where you just think of every possible negative thing out there, and you feel like garbage and shit. And then you have days where you feel so good, it's like you didn't even have depression. That's something that happens, so I don't even know what the fuck this particular thing is. I mean, it's unmotivation, and it's like, you're off and on good and bad days, Like, what the fuck? That has nothing to do with being attention-y or whatever. Like, initially, we are already starting off on a bad start, because this is a horrible point to really say, oh, your mental illness is an attention seeker. So, hoopla, let's move on to the next one. Number 2, you are constantly sharing shit about it on social media. Every time someone writes a #powerful #essay on whatever website about their struggle, that upper middle class anxiety, you share it. You share how to date someone with blank. You share 7 things only people with OCD know. It's your whole identity, and you're constantly reminded people that you are sick and brave and in permanent struggle against the world. Thing is, most people don't think they're in a struggle against the world. It's just a lot of these sites they can identify with, because that's how they actually feel. you know. Oh, I remember actually sharing one thing on Facebook, that had something to do with, me wanting to, talk to others more frequently, Oh, and it had something to do with, the depression and whatnot. And yeah, I can say that I probably have done this a couple of times because I feel that it has something to do with me. I mean, in shit. It again, I don't see how this is a fucking point of people sharing things that are already established is to apply to themselves. I mean, seriously, it's not exactly an attention-seeking thing unless oh, teeny bopper over here shares a fucking and shit from Justin Bieber, and that's attention-seeking somehow, despite that really not being. I mean, for fuck's sakes, they're sharing something that is that is a part of them, and I mean, they I know I suffer from anxiety. I know I do because last Christmas was one of the worst Christmas. Not last Christmas, 2015, 2014 Christmas. That was a very shit ass Christmas, let me tell you. Ooh, where I couldn't sleep for 4 days straight because anxiety was completely and utterly garbage that particular time of year, and I did not enjoy Christmas at all. And generally, I enjoy Christmas. Let me tell you what. And it was terrible. Anxiety is the thing, and if somebody can find an article or a post of someone that relates to what they're dealing with, why the fuck wouldn't they share it? It makes them feel good that people know, exactly what they're going through and what they're dealing with, because I'm sure they're probably told the same thing by their psychiatrist and whatnot, and it just is a bit more closure and whatnot, for you to know that people understand and this particular thing. So again, this is a non-fucking point to the whole, oh, mental illness is tension, blah, blah, blah. Oh, goodness. Number 3. You listed in your bios. If your bio announces from the get-go that you have depression before you even mention, I don't know, a job, a hobby, or accomplishment, you need help, and not the Lexopro department in the you have nothing interesting to say about yourself besides this disorder department. Yeah, because let me tell you how much bios I've said that just said I had depression on it. What the fuck is even on at this point? Again, this is another non-issue because let me tell you, it's good, I think, to tell, especially if it's like on a dating website or some shit, or if you want to make friends that you have this sort of depression. I think that is something people would like to know so that they can maybe know if they can deal with it. Because some people can't deal with people with depression, and that's understandable. It's sort of thing that you either deal with it or not. But I mean, in what exactly is the problem saying I have depression with a bio or some sort? And honestly, most people, like certainly there's some out there, wouldn't just say I have depression. They would probably list a multitude of other things, depending on who they are, because granted, with people with depression, they tend to be very self-loathing, so maybe that might not be particularly the case, but I have hardly seen anything that says, I have depression. You know, I've been on Tinder too long to really see, and I haven't seen that at all. It's either they say nothing, or they say something. Some of them said they have depression, but then they list another things that they do indeed do. So, I mean, I don't get this either unless this person is specifically looking for those particular people, which that is not exactly how you post a legitimate, arguable list of sorts, which thus far this is a very ignorant list just by the first 3, so, we still have 7 more, so holy shit. Number 4, you use it to be an asshole to other people. If you don't call someone back, it's not because phones give you anxiety, it's because you're an inconsiderate asshole. If you don't show up to a friend's birthday party, it's not because you are in bad and social situations, it's because you're an inconsiderate asshole. If you take your stress out on your significant other constantly for no reason, it's not because you're depressed, it's because you're an inconsiderate asshole. Mental illness, although convenient, is not a catch-all reason to treat people like shit. You're right. It isn't a reason to treat people like shit. Whether you have bipolar or depression, whatever, you shouldn't treat people like shit. And it's not an excuse. You do have a point with this one, yes. As people with depression tend to, or any other mental disease tend to, who, treat people like shit, but then they immediately regret everything that they do because they make a lot of stupid decisions. Let me tell you what, I have done a lot of stupid things, said a lot of stupid things to friends that I know care about me and I care about them, equally as much. Much. And they still care about me because they, unlike apparently this article, do understand that depression is a thing, and I do tend to say stupid shit. Do I still fucking and think it was acceptable? Hell no. That's just the basic point and principle of it. But it happens. It happens more than likely if you are depressed for you to say something stupid and then immediately regret it. And hell, even if you say something and not even as stupid as you think, you still regret it afterwards. I know I've done that, where I think I said something stupid to one of my friends or whatever, and then I go, oh fuck, did I fuck up? You always have that second doubt feeling of everything you fucking do. Oh, and that's just the thing, you know. Oh, and sometimes it is being inconsiderate. So, I mean, yes, with this one, there's at least somewhat of a point, but it's still, making the assumption that the person who's depressed, is just being an asshole. When really it's just them and trying to be themselves, and then just saying stupid shit that they really weren't thinking too clearly about it. Because let me tell you something, I don't try to be an asshole to people. Oh, I don't try to be that douchebag to individuals. I care about them. And I feel like garbage whenever I do say something, even the most littlest of stupid. And so there's a point to this one, but it doesn't cover the overall point to it, which isn't the people who have mental disorders, they're necessarily assholes. Oh, it's just they just do it, and it sucks. It really fucking does. But let's move on to the next one. When it's convenient, your illness takes a back seat. Unless something really fun is coming up and you manage to get it together, or want to impress a date by pretending you're really active and outgoing and happy, then you're fine. No fucking shit. When, as I said in like the point 3 in this, is, of why some people put depression out there, is because people do not generally care for depressive people. That's just a simple fact. It's a very hard thing to deal with. Oh, and I mean, if you're already used to a person, you find out they're depressed, you tend to accept that fact, but a lot of people hide it. They shouldn't, I honestly think, but, I hid it for a decent while amongst people. I made myself out to be this happy-go-lucky motherfucker, or to a lot of people, where once I started to show a significant amount of weakness, is they were astonished, and that's the thing. I mean, you try to make yourself out to be this happy, genuine individual. I mean, look at people who committed suicide, for instance, and I'm not going to try to, and my intention is to exploit their deaths at all, so please, for that comment, that's not my intention, they're just examples. And trust me, I was pretty sad when either of these two died significantly, and that would be Juario and Robin Williams. These two presented themselves to be funny, happy, courageous individuals, and they killed themselves. It's a weakness. Depression is a fucking weakness. And you don't want to show that to people. You want to show people how happy and wonderful you are, when that isn't exactly the case. And so this is pretty ignorant. This fucking whole article is pretty fucking ignorant. But this is among one of the most ignorant shit. Because that is what people with depression fucking do. Because they don't want their weakness. And I mean, this is the opposite of them fucking doing it for attention, really. If they were doing it for attention, they would be telling everybody that they're depressed. It's really hard for me to tell anybody that I'm depressed. I've only told one work person in my entire almost 8 months of working that I was depressed. Because it's not something I care to dive deep into, and that's the case for a lot of people. And so, yet again, and this article falls flat on its fucking ass with its ignorancy when it comes to mental illness. Number 6. You think it's controversial to talk about it. If you think it's still a controversial thing to announce to your Facebook friends that you struggle with the bouts of anxiety, either you're living under a rock or looking to be a martyr. It's not controversial anymore. Everyone is open about their struggles with mental illness, and posting stuff about you shouldn't be ashamed of your depression, girlfriend, is just redundant. If you need to announce it, fine, but don't pretend like you're being brave by saying you're sad sometimes. People with depression tend to not be sad sometimes. It tends to be a decent amount, and if they're getting better, again, those bad days, like you say, oh, they changed the definition of it. No, it's not a thing. I already covered that, but like people with depression do feel like it's controversial to talk about because, as I said, they feel like it's a weakness. They feel like it's something that no one really wants to hear about or deal with, and that's the case for a decent amount of people. They don't want to deal with it. It is a struggle to deal with somebody with depression. If I were to be like perfectly honest with you, I know this is because people have to deal with me, and it is a struggle. They still do it because they care, but it is a pain in the ass. I can be a pain in the ass with my depression, and I feel kind of bad about it all the damn time. Let me tell you what. Uh, oh, and people should be open about their struggles with mental illness, because that's a way for them to let out their frustrations that have been in their mind, and not like continually compress them into your mind. Oh, like you were having major anxiety the other day because of such and such reason. It's good to vent about that because then you'll have support from your friends, family, and whatnot, and you'll feel better about yourself. That's the type of attention seeking that isn't exactly terrible. You want to feel better about yourself. It's not like you're a selfish fucking cunt and you're doing it just so you can get some likes on Facebook. Generally, when you post about specific instances of anxiety, depression, and whatnot, you generally want to feel better about yourself. And your friends, your family who happen to be on Facebook, whatever social media platform, they tend to help you with that. And I have some specific people that definitely do who help me with that. And I'm not a person who generally, spams Facebook with my depressive shit. I generally go to specific people. And I feel bad about it a lot of times that I go to these people. But it makes me feel better when they do try to positively reinforce me. And that's just a thing that's a thing. I mean, this isn't the bad sort of attention that people are wanting to get. And yeah, again, missing the point yet again. Like I know it's not surprising at this particular point that this article is missing the entire point, but let's just move on, shall we? Number 8. You consistently post baiting things so that people ask what's wrong. It's been a bad day. Not feeling good. Ugh, I can't even. Yeah, you're posting those status because you want people to ask how you are and you want to vent about it, but everyone has problems, and using the feel sorry for me card and over again is incredibly irritating to everyone around you. You what? I mean, people do this all the time, whether they're dealing with mental illness or not. People still have bad days, and hell, I know people without any slight of depression does that particular fucking shit. So what the fuck is the point of this? Obviously, this is a particular post of this is so that you can vent about something. Like, how is this trying to seek negative attention or something like that, where it's only selfish attention? You want to vent about something, you want somebody to be there for you. I mean, how exactly is that bad in that sort of sense? Like, I don't quite understand this, and like I said, this doesn't even have to do with people with mental illnesses is or whatever. This can be just anybody who just said it's been a bad day, not feeling good. And I mean, when they say I'm not feeling good, they might just said, "Oh, I just had massive explosive diarrhea and shit." So I mean, you're being very vague with a lot of these things, and like, I mean, I hope people would feel sorry for me if I had explosive diarrhea, because that shit's painful. I don't think I've had it. I think I've had. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it, but you get my drift. Like, again, how is this a fucking issue? I don't see how it's an issue at all. So, another one bites the dust, I guess. On to number 9. You're not really trying to get better. Maybe you take medication, maybe you're in therapy, but when it comes to the behavior that you're doing over and over again, you're not interested in doing the hard work that is required to overcome mentally ill behaviors. You're interested in talking about it and identifying as a person who has blank, but you're not interested in being better because that's no fun. When the fuck is being depressed fun? How the fuck ignorant can you be? It's not fun being depressed. It's not fun just fun on being so upset about yourself or your actions so much that your anxiety is so bad that you can't sleep for 4 fucking days. That's not fucking fun, you dumb fuck. Like, what? And the thing is that I have tried, to do stuff. And again, depression, again, is something that you clearly missed in your first bit. You have to be motivated to do something, in which depression gets you unmotivated to do shit. And when you're not motivated to do shit, it's harder for you to want to get better. And I mean, you want to get better. You don't want to feel like that. But it's just a very difficult thing to deal with. It really fucking is. And just saying because that's no fun, no one thinks mental illness is fun. People with bipolar do not fucking want to be an angry asshole to everybody because suddenly a flip switch goes off on their head where they're fucking angry and then they'll become a crybaby puss cake. People with all of these fucking things do not think these are fun things. What ignorance is this bullshit? Like seriously, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Oh, and to insinuate that people with depression think that they're not getting better because they're just having fun fucking with people is what this particular thing is insinuating is completely and utterly bullshit-o. Number 10. And finally, pansexuals, demisexuals, and the other special snowflakes of the LGBT community. Although it's demeaning to people who struggle with their sexuality, as it makes it seem like some kind of joke, you're either straight, bi, gay, or sexual in some cases. Is there no need to make up your own label? Now, before I get on to the final thing this person has to say and what I have to finally say, I have to say, what the fuck point does this have in your whole top 10 reasons why your mental illness is made up for attention? You even say that this is not a mental illness, so you're trying to put forth one of your own agendas in an entirely irrelevant way. Hashtag good journalism, good job, you did it. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I will agree that yes, as I have seen a good chunk of people who say they're pansexuals, demisexuals, other kin, and all these other weird-ass genders that don't exactly need to exist at all, be attention whoring little monkeys. And I think they are the negative type of attention, but it has nothing to do with the mental illness but you even said that, sexuality is not a mental illness. With that said, why the fuck is this even here? Like, you couldn't come up with a 10th reason, so you're like, let me just do something that I think is personally attention-whory, and put it there. Like, you can't even have that sort of consistency here? Congratulations on that. And so, the ending notes of this particular journalist is, a mental illness is serious. If you have to pretend to be mental ill to get likes, you're just an idiot. People like these take the stigma away from mental illness and make it seem trivial. Oh, the thing is, you're trivializing mental illness by showing how fucking ignorant you are, pretty much talking about it. Because the only times I agreed with you in which people who are trivializing mental illness in here are like twice out of your entire top 10 list. and you even missed some of the key things in those points as well. Well, everything else was something that people with depression goes through. That they do a bunch of these things that you say are just for pure attention. These are what the psychologists, and I know because the psychologist told me that, depression causes unmotivation. Depression caused you to feel bad about your fucking bad about shit. You know? Oh, that's what they told me myself. So I mean, what the fuck are you trying to say? You are trivializing mental illness. And yes, the people who go out there and are trying to post on and on about how shitty their lives are and how their depression is ruining their lives and aren't doing exactly shit about it and are actually the ones who are doing it just so that they can get attention for it. Those are people who trivialize mental illness as well. And trust me, those people irritate the shit out of me, except you have not listed really any legitimate sort of way for that to be a thing. Except for maybe a couple. A couple. Oh, you know? And you might as well just put this like top two things because everything else you're clearly ignorant about because those are what people do in general when they're depressed. Not when they're seeking attention. They want on people to they want to care about people. They want people to care about them. They're not trying to seek attention just so that they can get an extra like. They want this sort of positive attention so they can feel better about themselves when they are feeling so low. Oh, and that's why they do it. And that makes them feel better. Like, how's that bad? Most of the time, anytime I ever post, that rarely when I do it nowadays, is on Facebook. I don't do it for likes. I do it because this is how I feel, or if somebody, says something or another, that makes me feel good. People like this trivialize depression, because obviously this is an individual that I do not think has suffered through any sort of mental illness or depression, and if they have, then holy fuck. I'm not going to make so much assumptions about this, but this is a garbage article. It really is. As somebody who has suffered through severe depression for a decent amount of time now, or diagnosed for roughly a year and a half now, it really pisses me off that people still don't fucking know their shit. And something like this can be posted on Facebook, and it'd be like, yeah, people with mental disorders, look right here, you just got owned. No. People who share this type of article, people who agree with this type of article, are ignorant as all fuck. And I'm disappointed in anybody who is on my friends list or whatever who thought that this was a top 10 list, or I should say not top 9 list, because the 10th one was just stupid and had nothing to do with the exact fucking reason for mental illness anyways. And yeah. Well, I'll see you all later. And until next time. Goodbye.